Okay. A very good morning to one and all listening. Yes, it's a Saturday morning, but then when has learning ever stopped at Chennai Institute of Technology? So here we are with yet another beneficial and need of the hour kind of session. This is Harshika from the first year Computer Science and Business Systems Department, Chennai Institute of Technology, extending you all a warm heartfelt welcome to today's lecture on how to write an exam paper with open books, which will be delivered by our honorable chief guest, Dr. T.S. Pradeep Kumar. Now, I would like to invite our respectable principal to deliver the welcome address. You may take over, sir.
Happy morning to all. Once again, happy morning to all. On behalf of Chennai Institute of Technology, I extend a very warm welcome to our guest, Dr. Pradeep Kumar, Professor in Computer Science and Engineering, VIT University, Vellore. Welcome, sir. I also extend a very warm welcome to all my faculty colleagues and a special welcome to all my student friends. Dear students, in our continual effort to create an awareness about the online open book examination, we are inviting leading academicians to interact with you about how to take about this online open book examination. In that line, today we have invited Dr. Pradeep Kumar from VIT, who will be interacting with you about how to prepare yourself for online open book examination. Dear students, as said yesterday, in open book examination, you will likely be evaluated more on understanding than on recall and memorization. Your normal examination pattern will test your memory capacity in fact. That is how our examination system has been designed. But in open book examination, your critical and analytical ability will be tested rather than your simple memory ability. So mostly the questions will be of higher order thinking. So you need a lot of preparation and have to read the entire textbook. You should clearly understand the concept and you should know how to apply the concept for solving the problem. You cannot skip by saying that these are all not important topics and only these are all important topics like that. In your syllabus, textbook has been prescribed by Anna University. So it is better for you to go through the textbook and prepare yourself by reading the content matching your syllabus from the textbook. And it is always better to have the hard copy or soft copy or format of the book with you during your preparation and also at the time of appearing for the examination. Especially for the second years, we are left out hardly 1 month of time. So within this time, you have to prepare yourself. And also, first of all, you should find out the from the department, from your faculty members, you will be receiving the soft copy or the hard copy format of the book, and you can start your preparation. Once again, I extend my sincere and warm welcome to our guest, Dr. Pradeep Kumar, for this program, and also I extend a warm welcome to every one of you who has joined for this wonderful program on how to prepare and face the online open book examination. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Now, I'd like to welcome our chief guest, Dr. T.S. Pradeep Kumar, senior member of the IEEE, the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, ACM distinguished speaker, an experimental programmer, an open source enthusiast for the past not 1, not 2, but 20 years, and professor of computer science and engineering department. He has delivered more than 10 keynote sessions and has conducted about 70 workshops at various chapters, forums, conferences, etc. in the domains related to embedded systems, networks, IoT, and the list goes on and on. He has deployed virtual programming lab and virtual and online classroom sessions, respectively, that caters to 7,000 plus users, and is now going to deliver a lecture on how to write an exam paper with open books, which is a much needed topic at the moment, as Anna University has announced that we are set to have our semester exams in open book format. We welcome you, sir, and over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is the presentation visible?
Not yet, sir.
Fine.
Yes, sir, it's visible now.
Yes, okay. It's visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, good morning, students, faculty members, and my friends, student friends. So, this topic seems to be a new topic for most of you, but we have been doing this for the past 6 years in our university. So, our students, one of the exam during their course, they will be rating as the books open. So, usually during the face-to-face classes, the students comes to the campus, and we make them to write the exams by the make the books open. So they can carry any number of books, notes, anything with them, but mobile phones are not allowed. Internet is also not allowed. So they come to the classroom, examination hall, they bring the books and they write the exam. So that's. But after the pandemic, all the exams becomes open book. So we have been doing this for the past 2 years by conducting the examination only on online. We have pros and cons, both the advantages as well, the disadvantages as well. So in this session, mostly the concept behind open book examination is same. So everyone will deliver the same thing. But for your understanding, I have given some 10 questions. So let's see whether you can able to understand that. So most of the questions were for first year students. Okay. So now, usually OBE were of two types earlier, but now it becomes the third option as well. So first thing is limited time exams or traditional sit-down exams. So that means, traditional sit-down means you come to the campus and write the exam by making the book open. So that is one. Second thing is take-home exams. So 24-hour exams are possible. So that means one day time. So questions will be given. You can refer anything. You can refer anyone, and submit the papers the next day. So that kind of exams also nowadays it's possible in most of the Western universities. IITs are doing it. Now the third one is sit down exam at home with a limited time to attend and upload the answers. So like what you are going to experience now. So Anna University exams might be coming under this model. So most of due to this pandemic, most of these exams comes under this category. So one main thing is objective type questions are there. It's fine because you can share the answer with your fellow mates. But now this is descriptive answer, and there are so many guidelines and rules and regulations to follow. So how these open book examinations you can able to do online? How can you prepare for the exams? What are the things you can carry? So how will you understand a problem or understand a question? So once you are reading it, so that is what I'm going to discuss. So why open book exams? So as maybe the other person also might have told you about higher order thinking skills. So to bring the higher order thinking skills of the students or the learners. So that is the main purpose of behind these open book exams. To apply knowledge, analyze, understand, and think critically. So in the examination hall, you need to have the critical thinking so that you can well understand about the question, and then you can approach for the answers. And that reason will be whenever the university college just not wanted to test the students' memory alone. So once you memorize something and then go and just write it down there. So if the university says that we don't want to test the memory, we want to test their skills, then open book exams are the options. And due to pandemics like this, so now this open book exam is mainly due to the pandemics. So obviously you are in the right track. Even Anna University also in the right track, allowing the students to go for an open book examination so that their critical thinking will be, since if you start from the first year, your critical thinking, you can understand the first time when you write the exam, you can understand where you sit, where you stand on that particular open book questions that you are encountering. And mostly Western universities and some other Indian institutions already follow the open book exam models. So most of the institutes across the country, They already follow this, like IITs and some private universities they follow. But most of the Western universities, they have a 24-hour exam, that is take-home exams also. So they give the questions, you go elsewhere, find the answer and submit it the next day. So that model also available, but the complexity of the questions always increases. So that means unless you understand the concept well, you could not able to answer it. So that kind of these are the reasons that open book exams are been in the universities. Okay, so now the question types, what you can expect in open book exam. So OBE in short form, it's open book examination. So the question types you may expect. Mostly, I've just categorized based on various questions from our faculty member have created over this last 6 years. I just created it. Maybe this may be helpful to many of you when you go for answering the questions, so you can understand about this. Explanation of architecture or program or functional block for an application that you might not have heard of. Okay, so one good example is last week there was a helicopter being run in the planet Mars. Okay, helicopter run in the planet Mars. So let's say the gyroscope. So there will be a gyroscope. There could be a accelerometer that identify how the aircraft is flying or the helicopter is just flew on the Mars planet. Okay, now let's say a program may be asking. They may be asking that, can you draw the architecture of a helicopter with all their the memory requirements, the processor requirements, and the resource requirements. What are the different devices that it allows? That's maybe one kind of question. Another question may be how that accelerometer can be programmed using a C program logic. So the accelerometer is a 3-dimensional accelerometer. We have x-axis, y-axis, z-axis. So when the aircraft or when the helicopter is flying there, how the x, y, z alters. So the x range is from -5 to +5. The y range is from -10 to +10. The z range is from -50 to +50. How can you handle that? So maybe you may be asked to write a program for that, for the helicopter which is flown on the Mars planet. So that kind of question. So unless you understand the architecture of how the helicopter works, you may not in a position to write. But this question may not be appearing in any book. So the faculty member's point of view. So being a faculty member, my point of view will be what I will be setting a question is, I think that the student should not refer the book for this answer. He should write on his own. That could be my thinking, my thought process when I set the question paper. So to be precise, my exam where I just start the class, my midterm 2 exam, today afternoon is scheduled. I have set 3 questions. 3 means at random. Total 9 questions I have set. 3 will be sent to the students at random. So I have set 9 questions. So my thought process is the students should not refer the book. They should be writing on their own. So that could be my target. But still, the student may just refer the book. But it's their call. But being a faculty point of view, we think that the student should not see the book. That means that question may not be available in the book. So that's how the way the questions will be framed. So even in your case also, the faculty member might be setting the question in such a way that this question will not be appearing elsewhere. Whether it could be a book or it could be an internet application or it could be a mobile, it may not be available elsewhere. The student have to apply his knowledge and write the answer. So that kind of questions only you may be experiencing. Now next thing is justification of a concept, which you may not find it in book or elsewhere. So justification means, so justify your answers. Why? Let's say, for example, I'll take an example of a power plant. So let's say now the recent crisis is the oxygen power plant. Okay, so last 3-4 days, India entire country is just searching for oxygen plant. Okay, oxygen cylinders. Now assuming that if they ask you to justify a reason, how you can able to build oxygen plant, how you can able to build an oxygen plant for the given if you have given a memory requirement, if you have given a resource requirement, how can you build an oxygen plant, assuming that these are the parameters of oxygen? So how can you do that? So maybe a mechanical student might be experiencing this kind of question. So where will you go and search on an oxygen plant? Maybe in the internet it might be available, but how an oxygen plant look like? So that kind of questions. So they may be asking you to justify. So how will you justify that the oxygen plants, if you construct 100 plants in the country now, that will eradicate the problem of availability of oxygen in the country due to this COVID-19 second wave pandemic. Justify your reasons is one question. That means you have to understand the problem first. Then why we need 100 power plants and 100 oxygen plants. Then what happens to that? So in that case, how you have to justify? So you have to justify means you have to identify, come to a conclusion that by installing 100 oxygen plants, the problem of oxygen availability will be solved. So you have to justify for that. So that could be some questions based on justification. So that means you become a thinker rather than simply memorizing something and writing. So that means you. But please remember that open book one advantage is your answer may not be wrong always. So if you are in a closed book examination, if they ask a problem, you come arrive at an answer. If the answer is wrong, your answer is wrong. So that means they may give some less marks. But in the design question justification, whatever you justify could be right. You cannot say that it is wrong. So means you will be getting the percentage of the marks. So say 10 marks means if you write the justification in a simpler way, you may be getting 4 or 5 marks. But if you get a good justification, then you may get the full score out of 10 out of 10. So that's what the second kind of exam questions. Then comment on any real world problems. Comment on any real world problems. Okay, so one good example here is let's say you take the example of Perungalathur station. I mean Perungalathur bus station. Okay, so over this last 15 years, I have seen the traffic never been reduced there. But now it recently, because of the flyover construction, slightly it's fine. But during Saturday, Sundays, it's heavy. Now, given you are let's say you are being deputed as an engineer over there. Now you want to solve that problem. How will you solve that problem? So comment on that particular real world problem. So they may be narrating a problem, and in that problem, how will you arrive at a solution for that? So in that case, you may be asked to write a program for that, or you may be asked to write a solution for that. You may be asking to design the framework for that. So that could be one kind of real world problems. So the societal problems prevalently in the society, what problems we are facing as on date. So that could be asked there. So how can you use energy producing systems? So let's say I want to install a solar power plant in the houses in and around a particular city. So how much power I need? So these kind of questions you can expect. Then analyze the bugs or output of a program. So most of you might have seen that. So they may be giving a program. The program may contain some bugs, and what should be the output of the program. So unless you understand the program well, you cannot answer it. But again, these questions may not be appearing in the books, even in the internet. Okay. But unluckily, if a faculty member taken a question from the internet and give it to you, you are lucky. But it's unlucky for the faculty. But the students are lucky when you are searching for the internet. But if a faculty design the question on his own, then it may not be appearing anywhere in the internet, anywhere in the books. So that is next type of question. Next thing is design of a system or application or framework. Design of a system. Being the first year student, let's say you may be doing some chemistry laboratory based on hot water plants. So how soft water, hard water. Okay. Now let's say how can you, since you have done some practical thing also on computing the softness of the salts, I mean in the water, you might have done it. Now they may be asking you design a hard water system or a soft water system that will be solving the salt problems that is available in the water. So how can you design such a system? So that is one question they may be asking. Or let's say you are staying in a flat system. So in your flats, there's overhead tanks are there. The motors are given to you. Now the motors are running at let's say 1000 revolutions per minute RPM, running at 240 or 230 AC voltage. Now how can you design a circuitry for handling 10 motors for the flats that has just 120 families? So how will you design this system? So this may be, you cannot find this question anywhere in the books or in the internet. Nowhere you can find it, but you will find some architecture. Some architecture might be given in the book. So based on the architecture, you have to reconstruct for these applications. So this is design. Okay. Then graphical analogy. You need to explain a concept. So maybe I'll be showing you a picture also. So what the picture is, maybe I'll just show you the picture. Maybe at the end of this session, I'll just show you what is maybe analogy. Then problem solving, algorithms, flow charts, graphs, pie charts. So they may be giving you in pie charts, and let's say O positive, AB positive, B positive for various blood groups. Okay, they give a pie chart saying that how the COVID-19 affects the blood group. So O positive, it affects only 30%, and B positive, it affects 73%, and A positive, it affects 32%, and something like that. If they give a pie chart, then what they do is you draw a flow chart for displaying these results. How many? If totally there are 1 lakh patients that get affected, then what is the proportion of the number of patients in O negative or O positive, B positive, like that? They may be asking you to write a program, or they may be asking you to write a flow chart. So based on a graph. Again, these questions may not be available in the book. May not. Okay, it may be there, but most of the places you may not find out these kind of questions. So seeing from the internet, seeing from the book, you cannot directly simply copy paste. So that is the target on the faculty members point of view. But student point of view, you you have to go prepare for the exam as if you are doing for the regular examinations. So please see that if you know the answer, you need not refer the book and then copy paste answer. You know the answer, you can write it down. Okay. Now let's go to the next one. So what are the materials that can be used inside your examination hall? So if you want to make the book open, so what are the things you can carry? Or let's say since you are in your home, so what are the things you can carry here? So now, for example, I am also in my home now. So maybe my video may be visible. So I just have an iPad also. So whenever I project the screen, I just find out the same projection happens here also. So I'm just verifying with the 2 devices. Then I have all the other equipment, power, everything I have. So if the power supply goes, then I have my mobile phone to switch on my 4G. So everything I got prepared, so that I need not go outside and then come inside if there is any network disconnection. Okay. So likewise, similarly, when you are writing for the examination, so keep handy with all the things available to you. Okay. So what materials or resources students can take printouts? So please remember, always carry some printouts. Don't rely only on the internet. There could be chance that your battery of your laptop might fail. There could be some power shutdown in your area. There could be internet disconnectivity, or there will be a major backhaul. So let's say Reliance network and Tata network, they get disconnected. So in that case, no one will get the internet connection. So in that case, how will you write an exam? So maybe one part of the town, it get affected, but all the students are scattered across the country. So that means for one part of the town, then the university doesn't conduct exam again. So it will be blame on the student as well. So in that case, be handy with the notes with you. So always take a list of printouts as well. Okay, don't rely upon only on the gadgets. Okay. So first thing is your class notes or your prepared notes. So please remember. So whenever your faculty member might have conducted a class, so you might have taken the notes. So please remember, if you have written the notes, you might be knowing what notes you have written on what time, what date. You might have scribbled so many things. So please always carry your class notes. Next thing is use of textbooks. So always use the textbook or parts of the textbook. So sometimes the entire textbook may not be covered. So in that case, you take the parts of the textbook. But please remember, whenever you take a textbook, always see whether the glossary at the end of the last 5 or 10 pages will be glossary. Glossary means the keyword sets. Okay. So in Google, you can directly simply write the keyword. Let's say I want to know about interrupts. I can go to the Google and say interrupt, INTERRUPT. But in case of in the book, when you go to the backside of the glossary, you see check the interrupt. It will be in ABCD only in alphabetical order. Check the interrupt. So once you see, then it will nearby. It will tell you some page numbers: 35, 67, 133, like that. So go to the pages. You will be finding the information about interrupts. So please remember, whenever you have a book printout, always take the book print, because usually what we do is we simply neglect the last 5 pages. Okay, this is going to be waste. But for an open book examination, if you want to go to the topic immediately, so take the glossary of it, because the glossary might be giving you more details on it. Okay, so in fact, most of the book publishing industries, they mainly have a great challenge on the glossaries. So glossaries automatically they update their pages as and when the book is published. So always take the glossary with you. So If internet is allowed or PDFs are allowed, then you can store as many books as possible in a folder. So again, don't search for anything. So just keep it everything in the folder. Don't wait for the internet. So you may think that okay, internet is there. That time I can download. So don't have that in your mind. Download it and store it in the folder, which is easily accessible to you. Okay. Usually, internet will not be allowed. Third point says that. But as per the circular from some universities, they allow internet usage also during exams. Okay. But in in our university, VIT Chennai, we do not allow the students to use the internet. So please remember, when the students use the Alt tab, press the Alt tab in their window, the timer start running. Within 90 seconds, they have to come back. If they didn't come back, the test will be suspended. So that kind of softwares will be doing all these stuffs. So please see the guidelines. If internet is allowed or not allowed. If internet is not allowed, don't take any chances. Don't take any chances. I'll tell you about what are the how softwares will look upon you. Then presentation slides. Take printout of 4 slides per page to optimize. So maybe your faculty member might have given the PPT presentations or some PDF slides what they have taken. So maybe 4 slides per page to optimize the page number of pages printout. You can take 4 per page, 4 slides per page. So that way you can able to use these materials. Okay. So these materials, please remember, even if the entire exams are running in internet, having something as printout is always advantageous. Instead of looking at the screen, you can go to the book and you can able to refer it. Okay. So that is what the material that can be used. Okay, some myths. Maybe most of you, maybe yesterday the resources might have told you about this. So open book exams are very easy. So don't have that concept in mind. Open book exams are not easy. Okay, so in sometimes, most of the times, see when we collected feedback from the students, most of the time they say that, sir, we could not able to see the books because the time is exactly okay, fine for writing all the answers. But if we keep on referring the books, then we are in no man's land. Okay, so that's how the way they are not easy. You don't have to study at all. So again, people say that, hey, it's open book, you need not study, you need not prepare, just go see the book and write the exam. No, it's not like that, because sometimes you have to search. If the question comes, you have to know which chapter the question lies on. At the time of examination, you cannot search for that, which is don't take any chance on that, because I heard that you have given only 90 minutes of time for writing the exam. So 90 minutes is too less. Even for writing, you may take 60 to 70 minutes, but remaining only 10 to 20 minutes available for you to search, whether it could be internet or in the book. So again, there could be some issue. Better if we carry more books and materials. So that could be one choice that you can carry, means as a printout. Internet is there, so we can find the answers easily. So people, it's a myth. So people feel that since internet is there, so we can find the answers very easily. No, because internet will take you many places. If you search for one, you go to one link, the link will go to some place else, it will kill your time, like how you do regular browsing. Okay, and better if we carry more books and materials. So some students ask that, sir, if you want to bring 10 books to the exam hall, do you allow? We say that you can carry a trolley with hundreds of books, but there is a time. Again, that is a myth. So carrying more books means you can write more exam. It's not like that. So carry whichever is important to you and whichever is available with you. Okay, so these are some of the myths. So don't take any chances on this. Then preparing for OBE. Here it is, study well as you do for regular exams. Okay, so this is the preparation since the next 1 month you may be experiencing it. So study well as you do for regular exams. Okay, while you prepare for exams, don't forget to take the notes. Please remember, during your class lecture, if you have not taken any notes, don't worry. While you prepare for the exams, take the notes. So somewhere you feel that, okay, I might expect this question there, so let me write it down. So that also don't take any chance. So whenever you prepare for the exams, please take the notes. Plan what materials to be taken printouts. So again, this is what I was just telling. So which are the thing you have to take the printout? So first priority should be your handwritten notes, as you know where you have written what content. So it's easy to find during the exams. In case if you want to refer to your notes, always take the first priority for your notes. If internet is allowed, bookmark the famous pages or ebooks. So there is an option called as bookmark. So the shortcut key is Control D. So if you use that, automatically the corresponding website will be bookmarked. Okay. But in case of PDFs, download the PDFs or screenshot for the important ones. Beware, internet may divert you sometimes to different pages when you're intending for a question. Okay. So if internet is allowed for you, then you take the bookmarks, you bookmark most of the pages in your browser. Okay. So that's what a very important thing. And ebooks. So whenever you have find ebooks, download the ebooks. So don't wait for the last minute download. Download as and when it is required, and then keep it in a folder. Okay. If your syllabus is unit wise, prepare a master table. Now this is what very important. Okay. Prepare a master table that tells which book refers to which unit. If possible, include page numbers in the table as well. Name your books as B1, B2, B3. Your notes as N1, N2, N3, and references R1, R2, R3, etc. The table you prepare should have this information so that you can look into it when there is a need. So assuming that you don't know any answer, let's say 5 big questions, you have 5 10-mark questions. Okay, so in that case, the 5 10-mark question, let's say you don't know about 4 questions, you know only one. So the one you have written, for example, the remaining 4 you have to search for the book. Okay, in that case, you prepare a master table and for this unit number 1. So your syllabus has unit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that. Now as per your questions, 5 question, no choice. Each question will be from 1 unit. So question number 1, you may be knowing it is from unit number 1. So immediately you have to see that which book contains that portion. Okay, B1 or B2 or which notes it has N1 or N2. So name your notes and then keep it handy with you. Okay, this is some of the ideas were taken from my students. How the students, so some students have prepared a very good master table, and even exam after exam. So after one semester, the next semester they hand over the notes to their juniors. Hey, if this is open book exam, follow this procedure. So they do that. So this one is very well suited. B1, B2, B3 for books, N for notes, and R1, R2 are for references. Sometimes we may not see the reference books at all, but the questions may be coming from a reference book. So in that case, the reference book may be handy for you. Maybe the first time the reference book you may be opening only during the examination. So who knows? So how many reference book you can see? Let's say I have, let's say 10 reference books here. I don't know unit 1 is coming under which reference book. Okay, in that case, if this note is handy, master table is handy, you can say that, oh, R3. So then you can go to the third book and then you open it and then you can able to see. So that will be avoiding your time consuming process. So that's what, if your syllabus is on unit based, use that. Again, if it is some universities uses module based, then you can use module based. So this is mainly for unit based. Then do not expect or anticipate any questions. So that means that don't feel that this question will come or this question may come. So since it is open book exam, anything can come. Okay, so sometimes if you are an online exam, maybe the question what you may get, your friend may not be getting. They may be shuffling it. So usually we do here. So question number 1, the faculty give 3 questions. Out of 3, only 1 will be going to 1 student. So it will be at random. Similarly, question number 2, out of 3, 1 will go. Question number 3, out of 3, 1 will go. So that means each student will be getting only 1 question, but his fellow friends may not be getting the same question. So that's how the way. So don't expect or anticipate any questions. Time management is very important. So time management, this is one of the important concept here. So most of the time you will be, if you know the answer to a question, and in that case you need not refer the book, you can write it on your own. So this is one thing. So if you know the answer, if you know well about the answer, don't feel that I want to check the book and then see and then write it. Don't do that, because when you see and write, the time is consuming more. The time consumption is more. Let's say if you write let's say a 10-mark question, if you take 7 minutes to write the question, but when you look and see, you will be spending 12 minutes. Please remember, 5 minutes you take extra time when you see and write it. Okay, so only think of the 90 minutes. It's too less. In that case, your time management is very important, mainly on the open book exam. Organize notes, materials by topic. As I already told you about, unit wise or topic wise, you can prepare it. Don't over answer, as the books carry more information. Be to the point. That means over answer means if the question is, let's say, 10 marks, so as per your university regulation, it should be from 1 page only. So you need to write 1 question, 1 page. Okay, so this is to avoid the scanned paper. When you will be scanning and uploading it, let's say one student takes 6 page scanning, 5 big questions and one paper for 5 2-mark questions. So totally 6 pages per student. Let's say 3 MB one student. So think about 40,000 students. Assuming that 40,000 students in computer science alone in the entire state, 40,000 into 3 MB, just take the size of the volume of the data. It could be in terabytes. So the university should be having the amount of storage capacity and latency, all these issues are there. So that's why to minimize that, they give the guidelines. That means one big question you should write in one page. All 5 2-mark question, it should be in one page. So please see the guidelines from sent by the university. Accordingly, you just play. See, usually when you write the handwritten exam, what do you do? 35-page booklet will be given to you. Most of the students, they fill all 35 pages. Okay, reason saying that, okay, one big question they write for 5 pages. But now you have to organize only within one page. So that's why don't over answer, because you see that the book have more information. But if you keep on seeing and writing it, it will be a cumbersome process. So don't over answer, be to the point. That's what next. Always write the known answers first. So known answer means if you know the answer for a particular question, you start writing immediately. So don't feel that, okay, this, since I know this, I'll write at the end. Don't have that in mind. Okay, so please, if you know the answer, well and good, write the answer first. I write the answer further first, because the unknown thing, it becoming completely unknown, maybe at the end of the examination. But because of this unknown, you may be leaving a known answer. So don't do that. So always write the known answers first. Okay. Fully charge your laptops or tablet or mobile phones if your exam is through a software or an app. Okay. So fully charge your laptops. So because today for session just only 1 hour, I am using a MacBook. The battery can come out to 8-9 hours, but I fully charged it today morning, because if something happens, I should be able to manage it. So I just charge my laptop fully, my mobile phone also fully, even if it's just 1 hour 1 hour session. Similarly for you, 90-minute session, don't think that, okay, 90 minutes my laptop will go on, no problems like that. Don't have that in mind, fully charge it. Okay, so that is for preparing for the OB. Etiquettes while writing the exam. Etiquettes mean the guidelines while writing the examination. So now your preparation is done. You just have all the materials handy with you. Now while writing the exam, what you will be following it. So it could be an online exam. So these etiquettes should be followed. It's not maybe, it should be followed. Never violate the rules in front of the camera. Please remember, most of the softwares that the university is going for, they are artificial intelligence based. So they will report the violation to the universities or institutions. Sometimes the student may not be aware that they violated, but the software record the violations. Okay. So now whenever I correct the paper, so today I just told you that my exam scheduled today afternoon, 2 to 3, that's 1 hour exam, because it's a midterm exam, 1 hour. The students are writing the exam. So after the exam's over, the paper comes to me for evaluation. When I see the evaluation, near the evaluation for a particular question, it will show that how many times the student violated. I'll get a number in red color, 33. That means 33 times the students have violated while writing the question, while writing the answer. Similarly, for each and every student, the violation number will be shown. So when I click the violation, what violation? The student is out of the camera. The student switch off the camera, and third person was standing behind the student, and the student just was not showing his face. He just lie down. He shows only his head. So all these things are be taken as violation. And 7 minutes, the student camera was switched off. We don't know it will simply capture. So in that case, 7 minutes means we are having a allowing time of 2 minutes only. But if the student says 7 minutes, then it will be something doubt or something fishy. In that case, what do we do is, out of 10 marks, I give him only 2 marks. Maybe he might be scoring 8 marks out of 10, but I'll give only 2 marks, and I just give that because of this violation, your 6 marks is reduced. I should put 0, but anyhow, since for your attempt, I have just given 2 marks. So that way, I'll just evaluate it. After the student come back, since it is a midterm exam, he can come back to me, sir, you have given me only 2 marks. The violation is because of these things, sir. I went for washroom, and all these stuffs he may be narrating to me. Okay, maybe I may take a call or not, but please remember, all the faculty may not be taking that call, because the violations are reported to the universities The students may not be knowing these violations. Please remember. So violations, never violate the rules in front of the camera. Maybe your friend may be telling that, hey, we'll do your, don't worry, all these things, they are very normal, so nobody will catch us or something like that. So if these kind of words from your friend comes, please avoid it. So be to the point, because sometimes even if you, because all are open to exam, the faculty member also know how the students will answer the questions. So they may be lenient in their correction, but because of violations, don't lose those marks as well. Okay, so never violate the rules in front of the camera. Don't let anyone along with you, either nearby or opposite you. See, sometimes what happens is, see, I am just, you can see that I am in front of my camera. Okay, now assume that I just make one person to just sit opposite to me, and whenever I write exam anyway, let's say I have switched off my mic, for example, then the other person is narrating the answer, I'm just writing it. Okay, but sometime when you see the eye contact, when you see above your camera, so that will be taken as a violation. Please remember, because it is AI based, because it will check out your eye position. So your eye is always on a particular location, but suddenly there is, when the eyes are moving here and there, it will take a violation. Okay, so that's why don't make anyone to sit near you or opposite to you. So you feel that okay, he's out away from the camera, no issues, but don't take it, don't take it otherwise. Okay, then never move your head away from the camera. So that means, let's say now I'm just moving to the right. If you see the camera, okay, I'm just moving to the right. Now I'm just moving to the left. Okay, so in that case, what happens, again it takes as a violation. So why you move your head outside? Even the software doesn't know. Software simply record the violation. How many times the students have moved the head away from the camera? So in that case, the faculty member doesn't know. Maybe for some genuine reason, the student might have moved here and there. But the faculty member, when they evaluate the papers, see, now in VAT, I set the question, I evaluate. The student have a right to ask me. But Anna University, whom do you ask? Because the faculty already evaluated your papers based on the violations you have done it. So in that case, you cannot go and ask anyone. So that is the thing. So never violate, and don't use screen mirroring. I'm just telling you, screen mirroring means what you do. For example, let's say you want to see a movie from your laptop. What do you do? From your laptop, there is a port, HDMI port. From the HDMI port, you connect it to your TV so that you can want to see the movie in a bigger screen. So you are just casting your mobile, I mean your laptop screen to the TV screen. Sometimes you have a Fire Stick, Amazon Fire Stick, Google Chromecast, all these things. But don't try any mirroring. All the softwares in the market, they read all your ports. Wi-Fi, it is a wireless or HDMI or USB, USB-C, all the ports are being read by the softwares. Automatically they will catch you. Or sometimes some softwares block the screen mirroring. So never try that screen mirroring on your during your examination, because please remember, the violations will not be shown to you, but the violation will be shown to the university. Okay, right. If internet is not allowed, minimizing the exam screen will exit from the test. Okay, as I already told you that if internet is not allowed, suppose if the university says that no internet will be allowed, you can carry as many books with you as a printout. No internet, in that case, alt tab, pressing an alt tab or minimizing your window will make the timer run. So within 90 seconds, in our university, we put 90 seconds. So during the 2 hours exam, he can come like this 2 times. So for minimizing it or switching to other window, he can come twice. But both the duration will be for 90 seconds. Within 90 seconds, he has to return back. Again, second time will be given. After second time also, within 90, and third time when he do the course, the exam will be suspended. So you cannot upload any questions. You cannot upload any answers. The test is completed. So in that case, you simply lose your opportunity for writing an examination. I don't know how Anna University is going to handle this, but we handle it in a different way. Some student will give a request to us saying that, sir, I have done because of this only just went off. Can you give me second time option or something like that? So we make them to wait for a month and then we give, because the student we know. But Anna University is not that way. It is, strategically managing all colleges in one place. So whom to ask, where to ask, it will be a challenge. So never minimize your exam screen if internet is not allowed. Okay, so that is on these are the etiquettes while you're writing the exam. Okay, so now some of the sample questions. Being as a faculty, I have just taken some 10 sample questions because I don't know which branch students are attending. So I understand there are all the branches are there. So I just taken some questions. Okay. Now see this question. There are 7 friends who visit temple regularly. First person visits a temple daily. Second person visits once in 2 days. The third person once in 3 days, and so on. Identify the minimum number of days where all the 7 of them meet at the temple. Build a logic and develop a C program for this problem. Okay. This program is there in the book in a different direct question. But the faculty member wanted to confuse you. So he has given a question like this. So 7 friends every day they visit temple regularly. First person visits once in a day, every day. Second person visits 2 days once. Third person 3 days once. Fourth person 4 days. Fifth person 5 days. Sixth person 6 days. Seventh person 7 days once. Weekly once he go. Now identify the minimum number of days where all the 7 of them meet at the temple. So if you want to solve this problem, the program is there in the book. Most of the C books have this program, but you have to find out what program is that. This same problem statement will not be there in your book. So since most of you are just listening only, so you cannot able to answer me. So I will tell you the answer. What was this question about? So 7. The logic I will tell you. 7 into 6 into 5 into 3 into 4 into 2 into 1. So you take the LCM of it. So the LCM will be 420. So every 420 days, all the 7 can meet. Every 420 days. Okay. So that means 7 into 6 into 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So that means that is 420. So the LCM will be the finding the LCM of 7 numbers. That is a program. So because I given the minimum number of days. If it is no minimum number of days, identify the number of days where all the 7 meet. Then 7 into 6 into 5 into 3 into 4 into 2 into 1. It is what that? This is a factorial. Okay, so minimum means LCM. If the minimum word is not there, it could be factorial. Now you can see this answer. Write a C program on solving factorial of a given number. So when you see this question, you can immediately answer it. Okay, factorial using recursive program. Fact into fact of n minus 1. So n into n minus 1. So call the factorial program in the recursive way, you print it. A very simple program, but the same program when it is asking this way, then you have to understand what was this. Okay, so these kind of questions you can expect on an online examination. So please read the program carefully. So always read the question once or twice, so that the second time when you read it, you will understand the logic behind it. Okay, so be patient, and then you just read the questions carefully. So first time you understand in a blind view. Second time you definitely will understand what is your the problem is. How can you approach the problem? Whether you refer the book or you can write by yourself. That's what. Okay. So minimum number of days means you can take the LCM. If the minimum is not there, simply multiply all the numbers. 7 into 6 into 5 into 4. So in that case, you can go for a factorial program. This is what is a factorial. Okay. Now question number 2. Maybe first year students may not be knowing this. Anyhow, you are waiting in an automated teller machine for a transaction. ATM machine. So for withdrawing money or something. Debit card is inserted in the ATM and waiting for 60 seconds without touching anything in the machine. So insert your debit card and wait. Don't press any button. After 60 seconds, there is a beep and the card released from the machine. What device is used in this scenario? Draw its circuit diagram. Again, this question will not be there in any book or in any internet. But if you understand the lecture handled by your faculty, so ATM machines uses a timer called as watchdog timer, which reset the processor and it comes to the initial position. So in the digital devices. So he might have told you while taking the lecture. Once you understand that, oh, sir already told that if you go to ATM machine and put the card there, it will come out. So it could be a watchdog timer. So define and explain a watchdog timer. So this is a direct question for that previous scenario. So these are all scenario based questions. So see that it's a real world scenario. So that's what real well means. So everyone knows that we take a ATM card of our parents, we go to the ATM machine, insert it and use a PIN number, and then you withdraw cash. But here he says that don't do anything, wait for 60 seconds and see what happens. The card come out. So what circuitry is used there? Okay, so this is one kind of question. Then you may expect. Okay. Okay. Now go to the question number 3. Okay, so question number 3. See that as indicated in the above figure, there are various electronic components are connected in a car. As an embedded system developer, you are supposed to design inter-car connectivity between various components indicated in the figure. What kind of bus protocols are possible for this application, and which protocol suits the best, and draw its possible frame structure and analyze its performance metrics. Okay, analysis problem. Okay, so for understanding you, there's an image also right side. So we can see there's a air conditioner in the car. There is engine control system. There is power window, ABS, anti-lock braking system, power seat. Everything, airbags are there. So all the components are connected. Now, which bus protocol will suit this application? So this is the question number 3. So the direct question is whether you can use a CAN bus. There's a controller area network. There's a bus protocol. So we can use that. But the question seems to be a bigger question. Okay, but the direct question is define the CAN bus protocol, explain its frame structure, and describe. That's it. But this question can be framed like this. Okay, so they give you an image. In the image, as per the image, they will be asking you to design. Okay. Now question number 4. This could be a very, very good thing here. Household in Tamil Nadu consumes electricity in the following way. 0 to 100 units of electricity is free. 101 to 500 is 5.6 per unit. 501 to full, any number, it is 9.8 per unit. Help the Tamil Nadu Electricity Board to calculate the electricity bill for a given house. Write a C program to find the cost of the electricity bill. Okay, a very simple logic. So using some if statements, else if statements, you can able to write it. Okay, again this program you will not find anywhere in any book. Maybe since it is electricity problem, you may find it somewhere in the internet. Okay, in the internet this might be available. Okay, somebody might have write the code. Maybe the value will be different. 5.6, 9.8 might be different. So you have to accordingly change it. So, but when you search for this question in the internet will at least you will be browsing 4 or 5 pages. Oh, this code, oh, not this code. Okay, this code or not. Next tab, like that. 4 or 5 tabs you will be opening it. Then finally you found out the 5th tab. By the time 5 minutes gone already. So in that case, if you know the answer, you start writing it. Write the algorithm, flowchart, and start approaching the problem. Okay. So why I'm telling is the faculty's point of view. So while I am just telling you these questions, something is going in my mind. Okay, what in my mind is the student should not use the book. Though it is an open book exam, the student has to write on his own. So how I can twist the question. So that is how the way the faculty member will twist. But nobody will ask define. Let's say define the 4 counter design and describe about shift register, describe about the adder, the full adder and the full subtractor. Draw the circuit of full adder and full subtractor and explain. Nobody will ask you that, because whenever you ask what you do, you open the book, circuit, draw the circuit, and you do that. But they won't ask that way. That is what the open book. Okay. Then question number 5. You can see that relevant to the same thing. In digital, maybe since you are in first year now, you may be studying digital. That's why I just given this question. If the data select inputs to the multiplexer in figure below are sequence as shown by the waveforms in the figure. So the diagram in the mux in the top and the waveform in the bottom both represent same. Determine the output waveform with the data inputs D1, D0 equal to 1, D1 equal to 0, D2 0, D3 1, S0 1, 0, S1 1. Okay. Suppose if the same question I want to shuffle it to 10 students, then I change the value D0. For first student it will be 1. For second student I will make it as 0. Likewise, I can change many different values. Okay. Now this question is again higher order thinking question. So unless you know the architecture, how to design a mux multiplexer, you cannot answer this question. Again, this question may not be there in the book, in the internet as well. This is a question created by our own electrical faculty for the second sem. Yeah, first year students only. This question for multiplexer timing diagram. Okay. So these questions, unless you understand multiplexer, you cannot. But please remember, when you didn't prepare for the exam and directly come since it's open book, first you have to know what is multiplexer. During the examination, you cannot learn what is a mux. It is not possible at all. You need minimum 1 hour time to understand what is a multiplexer. Okay. So in that case, you lose the opportunity if you don't prepare for the exams. So prepare for the exams and then you handle these things. Okay. In case you prepared what is a mux, then how to design the mux, then you replace the values in the circuitry and then check it. You can easily get the output waveform. Very easy. Just 2-3 minutes you can answer this question. Okay. So now question number 6, again for electrical now. 2 coils A and B are connected in series across a 200 volt 50 hertz AC supply. The power input to the circuit is 2 kilowatts and 1.15 kilo volt ampere reactive power. If the resistance and reactance of coil A are 5 ohms and 8 ohms respectively, calculate the resistance and reactance of the coil B. Also calculate the active and reactive power consumed by the coil A and coil B separately. Okay. This question also you cannot find anywhere. Yeah, this for mutual induction. Using mutual induction principle, you can able to find it out, but you cannot find this answer anywhere in the book. This question also anywhere in the book. Okay. So again, this is on electrical students. So possibly second sem or third sem electrical students on some advanced topic. So question number 7. This is for mechanical. A break-even analysis. Break-even means I invest on a particular business. If I want to take the money and start getting profit, how long I take? That's what break-even means. That means I invested 1 lakh. Today I invest 1 lakh. After a year or so, I get that 1 lakh and then I start getting some profits. So my break-even is 1 year. So how you calculate the break-even? So for electric sewing machine, heavy-duty sewing machine. So you can see that in the table, cost of sewing machine is 3,33,000. Cost of leather bag 450. Cost of tailor 100. Cost of buckles. Cost of inner lining cloth 72. Overheads 1378. Heavy duty is accordingly the amount vary. You have to find out, identify each element of cost and find the total cost of production. So this is on a leather bag in manufacturing company. They run some sewing machine for the leather bags. They're preparing the leather bags. So what is the cost incurred? That is given. So again, this question you cannot find it anywhere in the internet or anywhere in the book. So unless you understand how to compute the break-even analysis, you cannot answer this question. Okay. So that's why don't come without any preparation for these examinations. Prepare well, understand the concept well, and then come, because in the examination they will make you think. You have to think and write the exam. So maybe for the first time they may be slightly lenient, but please take it as an opportunity. And because once you approach the thinking problems, so any problem in future you encounter, you start thinking. So that your learning happens. So once you start thinking, your learning happens. Okay. So please remember, only your higher order thinking skills matches your open book examinations. Okay. Question number 8. Again, it's for mechanical. So because I don't know all the branches I need to compensate, that's why I just taken something. So two SA engines have the same swift volume and compression ratio running at the same speed at wide open throttles. One engine operates on 2-stroke cycle, another on the 4-stroke cycle. Draw pressure crank angle diagram. So maybe I use the different question here. One of my friend is having Yamaha RX100. Other friend is having Suzuki. Let's say Suzuki or Hero Honda Splendor. Okay. Now instead of this question, I ask Yamaha RX100. One friend is having, another friend is having Honda Splendor or Hero Splendor. Now, which has a greater power output? Because RX100 is 2-stroke engine, whereas Hero Splendor is 4-stroke engine, which has high efficiency, which has high knocking tendency. Draw the pressure crank angle diagram for the 2 revolutions. I ask you to write. So in that case, you need to know the Yamaha RX100 is a 2-stroke engine. And in the question I can give, it's a 2-stroke cycle. Hero Splendor is 4-stroke cycle. Then I can able to. You cannot find this question anywhere in the book. Okay. But pressure crank diagram, how to draw, will be there in the book. So once you know, okay, this is for 2-stroke and 4-stroke, then you can refer the diagram, how to draw that, and you can do that. Okay, again, your thought process matters a lot. Okay, and question number 9. So this is it's my own question. I asked for one of my exam in one of the examination. I mean, last month we conducted one midterm first examination. You can see that. Consider the following picture, which depicts a village road. Okay, so it's a village road. If you are from Deeth, Kanyakumari, Nagarkovil, there's Kayataru, like that. In those areas, there are so many windmills. Okay, now the resemblance is I identify those areas. Okay, so then I plotted using a graphical software called as Toondo.com. From that, I just drawn this. Given an opportunity to digital transformation, how would you deploy digital networking devices in this infrastructure and model it? Use your imagination to transform the following structure to digital with at least 10 devices to be deployed. So make this village a digital village. You have to deploy 10 devices. Okay. Now this is a challenge for the students, but all the 10 devices, student will draw. I mean, some students will give 7 devices only because they have to think it. 10 marks, 1 device, 1 mark. Okay. So they have to divide 10 ways. Some students say that only they could able to recollect only 5 devices. Some students write 12, 13 devices. So the 12, 13, simply they get 10 marks. But 5 devices, they will get only 5 marks. Okay. But again, you cannot find this question anywhere in the book or anywhere in the internet. Okay. So that's what I'm just telling. These questions will give a glimpse of how a question would be looking like on an OBE, that is open book exam. So question number 10 here, then there's one last question, I think. The following picture shows the Micah-Z radio board that supports IEEE 802.15.4 MAC. There are various chips in the board that communicates to other ICs in the circuit. ICs means chips, integrated circuit. Which communication bus is helpful in interconnectivity between the ICs? Illustrate at least 2 of them with their architecture. So instead of directly asking describe USB and I2C protocol, explain the characteristics. Instead of asking this way, I give the question like this. The same answer, but only thing is, you have to write down that, okay, the 2 ICs will be communicated via these 2 protocols. So as per this protocol, protocol A, protocol B, you have to explain and you have to write it. Okay. So these kind of questions play a major role in open book examinations. Okay. Now this is the last one. Sorry, question number 11 here. There are 20 sensor nodes to be deployed in a nuclear reactor to alert in case of rise in the radiation level in the reactor. So let's say I used Kalpakam last time, then I removed it. Let's say generally any nuclear reactor. The reactor placed in a 20 meter cross 20 meter housing area. That means the reactor is placed in a size of 20 cross 20. That means 400 square feet. You need to design totally 4 clusters where the alert have to be generated by the cluster head. 4 cluster will be inside the 400 square feet area. Each cluster have 1 head. The transmission range of the cluster is just 7 meters. So between 2 different devices, it can communicate to 7 meters range. The average initial energy of the nodes is 5 joules. So the node means you are, let's say you carry a mobile phone, 5 joules. Design the network and select the cluster head in each cluster. Note before, you can assume values or parameters in case of any insufficiency of data. If you feel that the data is insufficient, you can assume the value. Okay, this is a design. This is a design question. Okay, design the network. But please remember, my class students were 60 students. All the 60 design this network. But I cannot say any one design is wrong. All the designs are correct. But in what way they explain, they justify it, accordingly they get the marks. Some student will feel only 4 clusters and they write something, 5 marks only I can give. But some student will go deeper down, they understand how the well about it, and they just narrate everything and then they design the network. So those students get the full mark. But none of their design is wrong. I will not say that the question is wrong. I cannot say. The question is right, but insufficient. Okay. So this is a design question that maybe for some subject this question is taken. So don't think that we are also getting the same question. Relevant to your topic, relevant to your subject, the questions will be asked. Okay. So it's exactly 11. Okay. So I'm just to the point. So thank you, students, and my details are there. In case if you want to know more about my work and other things, I have my blog, I have my channel. So just walk in. So it's something about networks, Internet of Things. If you want to know some practical on a IoT and other stuff, you can always refer my channel.
So we have some questions in the chat box.
Yes.
Yeah. So what are all arrangements required for students' point of view to collect the resource for OBE from the internet?
OBE from the, what are the?
What are all the arrangements required for students' point of view to collect the resource for OBE from the internet?
See, if you want to collect the information of the students, is mainly the scanning the papers. I mean, you have to have a A4 sheet, some 6 or 7 A4 sheets as per your university. So then you write down all the questions, and then only that there is only information that can be collected. But sometimes what happens is, see, now you can see up till this year. Okay, so let's say in our university, when we write the exam, let's say this is the table. I'm just sitting in the floor, okay, not in the chair. So the student have to like this. You can see my photo. You can see my video here, my camera here. So the student should show the pen and the paper while writing the exam in our university. If it is not there, then if a student is doing like this, still he is writing the exam only. But we have a doubt that whether he is looking at elsewhere. So it's always the camera has to point this way. So that means my table has to be here somewhere here, so that I will be writing it. So this kind of information the universities will be asking the students to ensure. The invigilator will be there now. The invigilator will be keep on telling the students that enable. We want to see your pen and paper. So please focus your camera accordingly. So this information the university peoples or the software may ask from the students. Apart from that, you need just only papers to scan it. And scanner, mostly some students scan well, some students they just simply take a photograph and then they upload. Sometimes we'll see only dark screen because in the urgency they upload it. Though we give 10-15 minutes extra time for uploading it, but still some uploads will be horrible. Then because half page it is visible, legibly written, but remaining half page will not be legible. But still, we didn't bother about that because the student may be having a low-end phone with him, so the scanner may not be proper. So since we know which student is that, so we don't have that issue. But in your case, the main issue is university is somewhere else and you are all writing somewhere else, your faculty, your college is somewhere else, your faculty is somewhere else. So then there comes a problem.
Yes, sir. So the next question is, for marks and all, how can we finish off all the questions within 6 pages? Paper consists of 5 2 marks and 5 8 marks. How can we finish off?
5 10 marks. No, if the university says that, accordingly you have to follow the rule because see now what happens is when the pages comes to the faculty member for evaluation, for one question it will come only one page. If the second page, if there is any left out answer, if the page doesn't come to the faculty, then how the faculty can able to answer it?
I understand, sir.
Or evaluate it, which is not possible. So within one page means then you have to write everything in one page.
Okay, sir. So when we want to refer books, we need to move ahead. Then does that come under malpractice?
No. See, if internet is allowed and books is allowed, but only during the duration of 90 minutes, then you can keep anything, no. But only thing is you should not get any help from anyone else. But in our university, internet is not allowed. So we don't allow internet. So in that case, we had a doubt saying that whether the student is looking, maybe the student having a laptop here, he may be having another device here. So maybe another device, a mobile phone or something here. Maybe some students sending WhatsApp messages. Hey, this is an answer for this question, like that. Maybe. So in that case, the student could be able to see the WhatsApp message and he can write. But sometimes we find out that because one student write a wrong answer and he circulate it to everyone. So all the students write the wrong answer. We simply put 0 for all the answers because it seems to be the answer is wrong. All of them did the same thing means it should be copied.
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
So faculty point of view, it's like that.
Understood, sir. So the next question is, how the students upload open book answer scripts in your university? Since in Anna University, paper correction will be done by other college faculty member.
Okay.
In that case, dummy number will be given. Paper
For us also. See, for the midterm exam, we don't have dummy numbers. But during the final exam, we also have dummy numbers. So I handle now 33 students in my class. During the final exam, I know the 33 comes to me. But which student paper, I do not know. There will be a dummy number associated with it. So that means whenever I correct the marks, he is my class only, I know that. But which student, I do not know. That kind of thing only for coming to. But Anna University means if it is completely online means, then which college students, which college they belong to, from which part of the state they come, nothing will be known to the faculty. So simply they get is only the answer.
Yes, sir. So the next question, I think this is the last question. How far the quantity of the content presented as the answer matters in the evaluation of the paper? Question.
Evaluation of the, see, that's what depends on the question. Suppose if it is a design aspect, the faculty member will give some rubrics. So usually maybe the rubrics may come to you or not, but usually we tell the rubrics. So let's say I divide the question into 4 components. So if you achieve component number 1, you will get 2 marks. If you achieve component number 2, you will get 5 marks. Component 3 and component 4, if you achieve all the 4 components, you will get the 10 marks. But anywhere you left, let's say you achieve up to 3 components, you did well. But the 4th component you didn't do, or it is missing. In that case, I can give only 7 marks. So the last component, he will be losing 3 marks. So that is called as rubrics. So some rubrics are evaluation pattern they will be giving for each and every question. Maybe Anna University, long back they are having the pattern, but some faculty members follow the pattern. Some of them they do not follow. But once it is there, we have to follow. But being an online exam, it could be followed. Because there could be paper seeing also. Because we have paper seeing. So the student can see the paper again. Again, they can write their issues saying that, sir, I have done this, all these things, but the mark is not awarded. Please check it. So again, after that revaluation comes to us. So then we'll go and see their comments, what comment they have. Even we can also type a comment. We cannot write it, but we can type. Why I have given 7 marks. So I'll be writing for each and every question. If I give less marks, I'll write the comment over there. Why I have given 7 marks. Okay, but it again depends on the faculty. Some faculty members simply give 7 marks and then they didn't write any comment. But usually, I do comment. I give a comment. But further, the student will say that, no, sir, I have written the answer. You please check it like that. So for final assessment test also, it's the revaluation is there.
Okay, sir. Understood, sir.
Yeah.
I think that's the end of the question section. Thank you. There's one more question. Sir, how to staff evaluate our paper?
No, how to staff means which staff? That's what we don't know.
Exactly.
So which staff evaluate your papers? But since it is overall the entire zone of it, earlier we correct all the papers in a single zone. While I was working with Anna University group colleges, we go to one zone and then we correct the papers there. But now since it is online, any faculty can correct your paper.
Understood, sir.
Yes.
So that will be all, I think. Thank you so much, sir, for your patience and for being really informative. I think we all got a clear-cut idea on how to approach open book tests now. And as we have come to the end of this session, this calls for the vote of thanks. First and foremost, I would like to express my gratitude to our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. T.S. Pradeep Kumar, for the greatly beneficial lecture and for taking time from your busy schedule to connect with us. Then I would like to thank our Honorable Chairman, Mr. P. Sriram, our respectable Principal, Dr. A. Ramesh, and all the faculty of Chennai Institute of Technology for the many opportunities they present us with. And last but never the least, tons of gratitude to the audience, my fellow batchmates, for taking time from your weekend schedule and for making it to the very end of this event. This is Harshika signing off.